The Simpsons predicted the Texas floods, and now their latest prediction is seriously disturbing. Just listen to this.
Great blackout. We had no power and no prospects of getting it.
What is it? What is it? We'll never know! Don't worry, kids. The government will help. The government cannot help itself, let alone you. So to take your minds off your troubles, I propose some kind of games, either hunger or squid.
And just 3 days ago, Trump flagged this exact threat.
No, I'm not kidding. You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity.
You don't have to hit us with missiles. Just knock out the grid and boom. No electricity, no communication. And he's right. They've been warning us. What are you gonna do when you wake up and your phone doesn't work? No texts, no calls, no news. And the government, they can't help themselves, let alone you. The only source of power left is the sun. That's why everyone in my family now has one of these. The strongest solar power bank on the market. Charges with sunlight, wireless charging, built-in cords, USB, USB-C, emergency flashlight, and is waterproof, dustproof, and shockproof. It's like your lifeline in one compact device. With the way these floods and outages are happening back to back, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and be screwed. But here's the problem. These keep going viral and sell out like crazy. If you see the link in this video, that means they just restocked. If you don't, you might already be too late.
See, this is why they always want people to stay away from the Appalachian Mountains, because there's always some supernatural scary shit going on there. So a couple that lives in the Appalachian Mountains put out a video where they showed a tree basically disappear in thin air. Basically in that video, they saying that tree got up and walked away. Matter of fact, look at this shit. This shit is crazy right here.
Same angle.
Tell me what y'all think. Look at this shit. Now pay attention.
Nope.
No tree there.
No. That tree's sure not there.
All right, now look.
That tree's interesting.
Look at the tree. Where is the tree?
It's sure not there.
Yeah, I know it's not there. A lot of people probably won't even understand what just happened. But jump in that search bar and you'll be able to go to their page and see they made numerous videos. That tree that was there, it's not there anymore. And to top it off, when they went in their house, it was a branch in their house. How did that get there? Jump down the rabbit hole of the claims of things that's going on in the Appalachian Mountains. A whole lot of scary sightings. A whole lot of things happening. A whole lot of people missing. And then tell me if you think that tree vanished by itself. Let me know. I'm out.
I'm currently being stalked and followed by a tree that is not a tree. And I know what that sounds like, but I do live in the Appalachian Mountains, so I feel like that explains itself, but we're going to get into it. Because I kind of left you guys in a weird space last night with some of my updates, and I just needed to sit down and film everything and just put it all together. If you don't need or want a backstory, skip to this timestamp of what happened yesterday. But here's a little backstory. So this started a few weeks ago when I was vlogging, just like working on my family's farm, and we heard a strange noise, we being myself and my husband. So we tried to pretend we didn't, we were just filming our surroundings, we saw this weird tree, it clicked to me that it might not be a tree, and we left. Well, later on, I get a phone call from a relative saying, I remember you talking about that tree. It's not there. So I make that update, and then a lot of you guys here on the comments were like, please go see if that tree's there. And even before that update, I was getting asked to please go see if that tree was still there. So anyways, this morning, I go. And the tree is in fact gone. It's been a few weeks. The grass has grown really tall. There's like a full tree there now. Like a bush, not a tree. But that tree, quotes, it's more like a giant twig.
Mirrors, like the royal family of England, are freaky things, people. Do not invite those demons into your life.
Neredesin? Kız seni bulamıyorum. Neredesin?
They're saying get them. Woman, come on.
This wasn't a joke. Something had been following them, hiding in the woods. This video was streamed to the world as it happened, but what almost happened off camera was even worse. Let's move on to our fourth scariest hiking encounter. On November 27th, 2024, Marco McDewey uploaded a video to his YouTube channel showing footage from his Wi-Fi deer camera. The camera was set up deep in the woods. Just a normal night. Just 3 deer grazing peacefully. Then it happened. Suddenly, a strange mist moved across the left side of the screen. It didn't float like smoke. It drifted. Slowly, almost like it knew where it was going. All 3 deer stopped eating. Their heads turned at the same time. They were frozen, staring at the mist. Their eyes followed it, like they saw something we couldn't. When the video is slowed down, you can see it. The mist isn't just weather or dust. It moves with purpose, like it's alive. The mist was gone, but the deer didn't move. They stood completely still, alert, as if something was still there, watching. Some believe this wasn't just a mistake. Some think it was a ghost, a spirit passing through. The camera didn't make it up. The animals reacted. Something was there. Marco didn't see it with his own eyes, but his deer cam did. And now so can we. Moving on to the 5th footage. He was just outside near Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado. It was a hot summer day in July 2008. He had his camera with him, hoping to catch some wildlife. But what he recorded that day was something he'd never forget. At first, the trees rustled like something large was moving. Not a bear, not a person. It was too tall, too wide. Then, it stepped into view. A massive, dark figure with a strange yellow patch on its head. Its walk was slow but strong, like it had been here long before any of us. Just like in the old stories, the yellow-topped Bigfoot. He froze, not sure if he should run or keep filming. His hands were shaking. The creature stopped, turned its head, and looked right at him. That stare didn't feel like an animal.
We're not supposed to see this. We're not supposed to see this.
why is it that you can actually go into like an airplane, right? You can have like those little free falling airplanes where you're in the airplane, all of a sudden you're experiencing basically zero gravity because you're in free fall, right? And you kind of simulate it like, oh, that's interesting and cool. So if you took this column and took it to the zero gravity weight, right? And then you introduce an object in between that density there, is the object going to be sorted by the relative density? No, it's not. And why? Because you're in gravity.
There's definitely no such thing as zero gravity. Even the ISS is apparently 95% Earth's gravity, and they say it's 250 miles high, so that's clearly false. Everything is resistance, and if you think of acoustics, for example, is a good way of thinking of it. Is sound, we say that the higher sound is always the lighter tone, the deeper sound is the more bass things. Everything in physics requires a base. The base is the form of resistance from everything starts. So the density tower itself has a base, and then it has solid walls. And everything finds its place when it's at rest. Once it's at rest, that's where we get the word resistance from. So everything that once it's at rest has resistance to one thing to another. When everything is in free fall, which is what you falsely call is 0G, it's actually everything is just in free fall in an enclosed capsule, creating the simulation of zero gravity because everything's falling at the same time at once. Well, everything is just free to drop at the same rate. It's the rate of drop is not determined by the density of the object. Otherwise, heavier objects would always fall faster than the others. But everything is falling at exactly the same time. Once it comes to rest, then the things will form themselves according to their relative density and give us the density tower that we see. You need resistance and at rest from the base of the tower. The best way to measure the circumference of the Earth would be to use gravity to suspend long plumb bobs down towards the center, because everything is attracted towards the center according to the laws of your gravity. And it's more practical than erecting mile-high poles, measuring the distance at the top and measuring the distance at the bottom. What they did is they suspended long plumb bobs down deep mine shafts in order to measure the distance at the top compared to the distance at the bottom, which would be less, and therefore they could use the formula to determine a more accurate circumference for the circumference of the Earth. But what they found in every example is that the plumb bobs actually got further apart towards the bottom. And in fact, when they finally selected two mine shafts a mile apart at the surface, at a mile depth, joined by a horizontal shaft at the bottom, they were 1 mile, 8 inches apart at the bottom, which is the exact opposite of expectations of global Earth measurements. So you were saying that they are using gravity to measure the levelness of this go-live system that you're talking about, and yet real science found that using gravity to measure level goes the opposite direction of expectations. How do you explain that?
Could you repeat the name of this? Because I haven't heard of this mineshaft experiment with plumb bobs, and I would like to look more into it, but obviously without being familiar with the actual material, I won't be able to weigh in on it. So I'd like to look it up for a later point. So remind me the name of this so I can just jot it down.
Okay, you'll probably have to go to a library to find most of the information.
Just tell me what the name of it is called.
Because looking online will give you very little. It's called Tamarack, Tamarack, Mine Mysteries. That's the general thing. If you search that, you'll find a little bit of information about the guy who reported on it in one of the scientific journals. The Tamarack Mine Mysteries is quite well known. I first read about it in a book which is actually called Secret of the Ages, which is talking about a hollow Earth. And this guy was proposing that we live on the outside surface of a hollow Earth. But really, after you follow that experiment, you have to presume if we were living on the inside, as the concave Earth is like to say, that makes far more sense, where gravity could be explained by the rotation of it, which is what NASA often proposes for a spaceship design to artificially simulate gravity in space, would be to have it spinning. So that if we're on the inside surface, rotating fast enough, that could actually explain how gravity even works. It's like a centripetal force. Water would still seek and find its level. The atmosphere would still move with us. Planes flying high would fly shorter distances. So if we lived on the inside of the Earth, it makes far more sense than living on the outside, hurtling through a vacuum of space, where gravity is a necessary requirement to make it possible that people could live on the. To make a career, you have to have somebody who is willing to pay you to do something. And if you don't give them the results they want, well, you're not going to get paid, you're going to get dumped, and you're going to get thought of as a crackpot theorist. And that's why flat earthers do not have a career in science, because we question the science. We question all of the nonsense that you guys bring up, whereas you guys have to keep on whacking each other on the back and getting peer support from one another. You can't do anything new in science without being shunned. And if somebody did prove the Tamarack Mine Mysteries, they would get kicked out of science. They would be considered.
So here's the thing, though.
The Earth is not a spinning ball in space. Don't just take things at face value, dive deep, do your own research and come to the light. This is for entertainment purposes only.
If a helicopter was genuinely on an Earth that was travelling at 1,000 miles an hour to the west, the second the helicopter lifted off the ground to hover over the same spot, the ground would move beneath it at 1,000 miles an hour. And so to travel in a helicopter, all you need to do is lift up and wait for your destination to get to you, and then land again. But they say that isn't how helicopters work, because they say the world isn't spinning, it's stationary, it's flat.
Alright, I'm going to show y'all something that I figured out a long time ago, and it's that this map is a fake. Okay? It's a fake. Fake. Let me show you what I mean. First off, I want you to notice the skull. Right, here's his crown. Okay. Alright, he's got a horn. Okay, there's the piece that's broken off. Alright, here's your eye socket. And, you know, all the stuff about Egypt and everything, you know, those 3 pyramids, you know, those great ones and all that shit, it's all up in this area, which is the area where your pineal is. Okay, just so you know. Right? Now, then we look around, right? Let's flip this around real quick. Let's see. First, I want you to notice the fucking landmass under the water, right? Oh, maybe this is your fucking Chinese dragon. Oh. Right, and it goes up to this face right here. Right, see a little dragon face? Somebody made this fucking map up, yo. It's like, okay, so here's another dragon right here. All right, now this one would be what they consider to be the world dragon, right? This one goes this way, and then where it comes up, the wings are at, and it comes around this way. All right, and this is the area where all the volcanoes are and shit, okay? But if you notice, all right, this is the face of the dragon. The dragon goes behind something, right? All right, you see that? Okay, so what's it going behind? Oh, the fucking Pegasus. Here's your main part of the body, right? And where the neck's at, where all the hair would be, look at that. You've got a raised up piece of land, right? And if we look here, right? Let me show you something real quick. Boop. We're just gonna follow the raised up land. You see how this raised up land right here goes like this, and then like this, and then comes off this way, kind of like a fucking wing does, right? And then you got this raised up land here, which is coming forward like this, right? Kind of like a fucking wing does, right? So, you know, so supposedly, you know, here's your fucking trotting foot, right? Coming up all high and shit, and, you know, the rest are going up underneath the dragon, so you ain't gonna see the bottom of the legs, but if you notice, right, where the neck is thick on the horse, look, land raises up. Where the hind leg would be, land is raised up, right? I'm starting to think that this whole entire fucking map is fake, okay? So besides that, of course, you know, you have the obvious one, which is, you know, Turtle Island. See the big old turtle right here? Right, there's little tiny little legs sticking out right there, right? Comes around this way, okay? And little tiny ass legs sticking out right there. It comes around this way, and then his little arm comes out, and it comes up this way, and then here's the fucking, okay? So, you know, you got your turtle, right? But then wait, there's more, right? Well, something else is in here. What is that? Looks like fucking Godzilla, right? Laying right here, all right? Like this, and then that one foot comes down like this, and then it comes up like this, right? And here's the body. Oh, look at that. It's coming up to his big ass mouth. Whoa, that's wide open. All right. He's got these little tiny arms popping up right here. Here's the fucking end of the tail right here. All right, so his tail's wrapped around, right? You got the outline of both the fucking little legs back there, right? See that shit? And look, there's a whole red mountain range going on here. So what's that? That's leakage. That's fucking blood spill, right? And, oh, what's he over here by? Oh, look at that. Wouldn't that be something if you just happen to find a fucking griffin, chilling. All right, here's the wing of it. All right. It comes down to the body, right? Oh, no. So you got a griffin over there. You got a giant Godzilla looking thing here. All right, you got a fucking Chinese dragon here, a Pegasus over here, a turtle over here, a fucking giant world dragon over here. All right. Oh, wait, but what's this? There's more. Oh, look, what's this over here? All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and here's the body. All right, because the Hydra is a big motherfucker. So we got Hydras, dragons, skulls, Pegasuses, turtles, fucking giants. Yeah. Fake map.
The sun and moon are right next to each other.
So used to fake satellite. For real. They're on a big balloon. And we also fake.
So outer space does exist. So all flat earthers out there saying that outer space doesn't exist, it does, but it's just been usurped. It's not physically going to Mars itself, the sun, Mars, the luminary. That's ridiculous. It's going to these lands where Mars is the sun. That's what they're trying to tell us. Each of these toroidal fields also has its own sun and moon. Saturn and Jupiter revolving around the outer torus field, Mars and Venus on the next toroidal field, Apollo and Artemis, or our sun and moon, on our torus field, but in the center there is only one androgynous sun and moon, which is Mercury on the inside, okay, on this torus field, the aurora borealis. The next question, or the next natural question, would be, well, what's above these toroidal fields? Above all the toroidal fields, we've got something known as the firmament, okay? This is where the stars are. This is what we see when you look up at the sky in the evening. All the stars and the constellations. This is the firmament that sits above the last inner toroidal field, the one that Saturn and Jupiter revolves around, okay? So that would be the cosmic egg on top. In fact, I'll put it together. So that's what it looks like, right? This would be the firmament inside this torus egg, okay? The sky that runs across, okay? So it's almost like a dome, okay? So we're sealed off from these realms above. And I'll explain all that in a second, right? So when we're looking at it from underneath, when we're sat on the earth, we're seeing all the constellations revolving above us, okay? So pretty straightforward, really. So that's the firmament, okay? So this firmament, on its axis, right, is revolving, okay? There's motion, everything's moving above us, but the terra firma we're standing on is obviously not moving, okay? So this axis is revolving, it's turning the firmament with all the stars and the constellations and everything else. In turn, it's also affecting the motions of these toroidal fields that are spinning around us, like we discussed earlier on. Those toroidal fields are also carrying the suns and moons around, which is causing our days and nights and seasons and times, okay? And that in turn, that motion is also creating our weather, our winds, our currents, flows, airstreams, everything else. So it's one big system working together. It's a network starting from the cosmic vortex. Okay, so what that would look like is something like this. Okay, now interestingly enough, okay, we talked about the planets. I suppose many people will be asking, what about Uranus and Neptune and Pluto? Okay, so I think Uranus and Neptune are the two realms above. Okay, so Uranus is the firmament above us. Why am I saying this? Well, Mother Gaia, we all know, is Earth in Greek mythology. Okay, Gaia was married to Uranus, right? The planet Uranus, as they tell us, Uranus was named after Gaia's husband, Uranus. Uranus married to Uranus. These two are married, okay? They go hand in hand. Same thing with Kemetic Egyptian mythology, okay? You've got Mother Geb. She was married to the Egyptian god Nut. And Nut is always depicted as the sky, okay? So Uranus, Nut, Uranus, same thing, okay? They also tell us that Uranus and Neptune are kind of planets, but they're exoplanets. They don't go in the same category as these 7 wandering stars, okay? They put in a different category, and that's the reason why, okay? Pluto the planet Pluto was named after the Greek god of the underworlds, and that's because Pluto is the firmament below us. As above, so below. There's a firmament above us, but there's also a firmament below us, okay? Below the great sea, the great deep, the Gabadoka Ocean, as the Vedics called it, okay? So that tells me syncretically that there is a firmament and what the firmament is, and that shows you how I've come to that conclusion, okay? Above that, you've got Neptune. Neptune was named after the keeper of the waters. Okay, which waters? The waters above and the waters below. Okay, so Neptune is the keeper of the waters. This is the next realm. By the way, these realms above the firmament are very transcendental. We cannot go to these planets naturally. We all know that. Okay, these are luminaries. These are suns and moons. We can't go to the suns or the moons. Okay. Outer space does exist, like I said. It's beyond these Van Allen belts and these lands beyond. This would be outer space, okay? Definitely, we cannot go up here. This place is very, very transcendental. It's spiritual. You can only go there as a soul or a spirit or a star. All the same thing, okay? This is the only time you can go up there, and I'll explain all that in a minute, okay? So mainstream science tells us that there is Uranus, Neptune, and I'll explain how the heavens work. So there are 4 heavens and there are 4 hells. In fact, the Vedics say there are 7 heavenly realms and 7 hellish realms. Again, we'll go through that in a second. So mainstream science tells us that there's the Milky Way galaxy, Andromeda galaxy, and the Omega galaxy, and then the point of singularity. Okay, this is where Polaris is. Polaris is right at the top, okay? Right in the center of the axis, the cosmic axis, right? Everything is spinning around Polaris, just like we witness with our eyes. When you look up at the North Star, Polaris, you see all the stars are revolving, yeah, around Polaris, okay? Polaris is Brahma, the creator. This is Big Brother. So when you see that triangle with the eye that these elites show us, this is what they're trying to tell us, that Big Brother is watching, okay? Unfortunately, they're twisting it and usurping it and making it very occult. It shouldn't be an occult thing. This is something everyone should know, okay? This is Big Brother. This is our father. This is Brahma looking out for us, basically.
The Earth is not a spinning ball. The Earth is flat and stationary with no movement below your feet. The firmament above us does the moving. Share this video to a friend. Watch out for more. This is for entertainment purposes only.